fellow fans of Clash Royale, I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and thank you so much for stopping by for the I Can't Lose deck. I don't know what else to call it. Now, I've had 7 wins in a row currently with this exact same deck, and that's not that unusual. But when you consider the fact that those 7 wins began at somewhere around 3,400 trophies, it is pretty significant up at this level to win that many times in a row. Now couple that with my limited skill set in this game. I don't claim to be the best, far from it, in Clash Royale, but occasionally I get on runs. You guys have probably noticed this. You win a bunch in a row, you lose a bunch in a row, and right now, I cannot lose with this deck. It's crazy. And now I just had to show this first battle. It is against a level 9. But this guy's a level 9 and he's made it all the way up to the 3300s. So now he's done it with a mortar, which annoys me to no end, okay? But nonetheless, I'm beating him, so we're going to go ahead and show him losing. But again, the fact that he made it up to the 3300s with the mortar deck shows that it is pretty strong. You've got to know how to counter this deck. And by pressuring him early right here, I forced his first mortar placement to be defensive, and it's just not going to work out. A defensive mortar is an inept mortar, and it's just not effective. Now, I really had a feeling this guy was a mortar user the moment I saw a level 9 player up this high, because they often do catch people off guard, but I've caught him off guard, and that first tower goes down like a paper structure. It is easy to take that down. He had no chance to get that mortar down, and now he's just so far behind that it's just a matter of making sure he doesn't get that mortar in too long on a tower here. Of course, his element of surprise is long gone, and that is a big thing that people are looking for when they're using the mortar deck, is they don't want you to see it coming. Now, of course, I saw it coming, and the golem will draw the fire from the mortar up until it reaches the mortar. Then the mortar goes down quickly, and it really only got one shot on my tower. And again, he's already lost a tower, and he is a little bit overwhelmed. He realizes at this point he has no chance. He throws up the WoW. His second tower is just about to go down, almost falls here to the last Golemite, but this battle is over. So no, get your mortars, get your Expos out of my house. Not happening. I wish the April Fool's update were true, at least for the Expo, not for the mortar, but at least for that Expo. So again, he's overwhelmed, he has no chance, and just now I'm bringing out the Tombstone, which is another pretty good card, and I found it's very underused up here at this trophy range. So really, what this deck started out with was a modified Golem Swarm deck with a couple of other cards in it, and of course the Tombstone is really the anchor here because it's an unusual card. People don't usually use it up here that much anymore, and again, it's a great card for drawing fire from the mortars, from the Expos, temporarily anyway, and also Prince, Dark Prince, easy to distract them, and sometimes a mortar, with the help from the tower, can single-handedly keep that Prince off of your tower and take it out. So again, I feel like this deck has a good balance. The Tombstone somewhat underused. The minions, the set of regular and the minion horde, very unusual to bring both, but I really like the versatility. Oftentimes with your regular minions, you can trigger your opponent to use their arrows, and then you've got the minion horde to come in from behind, and they've got no good or easy card to take that horde out. So I beat this guy 2 crowns to 0, and that was at level 9, but here comes playing a level 10. So we are working our way up the level ladder with higher level cards here, and again, a different deck, and that's the thing I like about this deck. I feel it's pretty versatile. So we saw the Dirty Mortar user in the first replay, and now we've got a Giant Skeleton Inferno Freeze user. So this, a pretty unusual deck, I would have to say. Not something I'm used to seeing, the Freeze in conjunction with a Giant Skeleton. And if you know how to counter a Giant Skeleton, it is not that hard to take out. And that is really just distracting it. Keeping it away from your tower is really the most critical part. Right there, you want that bomb. Give it a chance to go off before you deploy anything else in the area. But the key is distracting it, pulling it back towards the water, towards the center, so that when it does go down, the bomb doesn't go off next to your tower and do just about 1,000 hit points in damage. Now you'll notice this player, again, more unusual stuff in his deck. He's got Balloon Freeze. So really the freeze spell is going in conjunction with the balloon, obviously. and at this point I'm not really expecting it to see a balloon in addition to the giant skeleton. Here it comes. He's got the goblins well timed with it, so it doesn't look good for me. The tombstone, that's a major tombstone fail right there. That was just a desperation move. Again, speaking to the fact that I'm not the best Royale player ever, I do make a lot of mistakes. That was a big oops on my part, and that tower just about history, and early on it looks like I'm in a lot of trouble here. But again, like I've said in previous episodes, any deck where you're bringing the Elixir Collectors or a Golem is a deck that is just tailored for coming from behind. Now, of course, I don't have the Elixir Collector in this deck, but just getting the Golem past his Inferno Tower is going to be the key to victory in this match. I do have the higher level cards, the stronger towers, so I have that advantage once again. But here comes another balloon, and I'm thinking the minion horde is going to do the job here, but he's a little bit too fast on the arrows. He anticipated it, he had them ready, and that balloon, again, severe damage, and another tombstone fail. I obviously still need to learn how to use my tombstones. So he's looking really good right now, sitting pretty on such a huge hit point advantage. The Golem is not going to get to that tower and do much because he's got the Inferno Tower up, he's got the giant skeleton, and the giant skeleton goes down, takes out the last of my units, but we've circled all the way back around to another Golem, and this time there is going to be no stopping that Golem because of the minion horde. And the balloon is heading off towards my twin tombstones. That's right, 2 twin tombstones standing in the way of that balloon. That slows things down just enough. The balloon can't take out my tower, but in the meantime, my Golem minion horde has taken his left tower with only 5 seconds left. Double-digit hit points on my left tower, but he has no arrows ready, and this battle will end simply because he couldn't cycle back around to his arrows in time, and I take down the level 10 player with my can't lose deck. Now, of course it can lose, but for now it can't. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at a level 11 player now that I am facing, and he's brought a giant, which almost always makes me think Three Musketeers. When I see a higher level player dropping a giant, it really makes me suspicious. So he's got the giant, you can see he's got some low cost cards, the arrows, the skeletons, and the princess, and obviously he also has the Inferno Tower. So the Inferno Tower is a great card to counter my golems, but that is why I've brought 2 sets of minions in this deck. They are there to help take down those Inferno Towers and try to get them out of the way so the Golem can get to the tower. And you can see he's got the Balloon Freeze. So another Balloon Freeze user, which is a super dangerous combination. But look at all those minions. No! I had high hopes for all of those minions, double grouped up, but the arrows took them down. So really hoping that we wouldn't see an Inferno Tower, hoping we wouldn't see arrows. And right now, again, not looking great early on. We haven't really gotten a lot of hit points off of either tower, and here comes his balloon. Now he does have the freeze in the rotation and on the ready, but I've got the tombstone down, and because of the tombstone placement, it looks like he's going to hold off on the freeze. Lots of units take that balloon down and successfully prevent it from doing too much damage on that left lane tower. Minions again, as always, my heroic card. Who needs tanks? Who needs major DPS on the ground when you can just catch your opponent off guard with a couple of minions? They are such a sleeper card. Now here my opponent does reach max elixir before I do, so I'm definitely at a disadvantage. He's got that giant coming from the back of the pack. The giant with a long distance dedication reaching out to my left lane tower. But right here I decide to change gears. I'm going offensive down the right lane. If we have to trade towers, so be it. But he's got that Inferno right smack in front of my golem. So again, I do shift back and drop my minions on his giant. They go down, but I have the minion horde. So again, that works out really well. He's already used the arrows. So before the princess can take down all of those minions, they have gotten in, and now, yes, they are going to get to the tower because he doesn't have the arrows or the princess available. That Valkyrie, that was a big mistake, does not work out. The minions are easily going to counteract the Valkyrie, and now the golem is moving in. Another Inferno Tower though, and the golem is going to get chewed down by that Inferno quickly. We are down to the last 30 seconds, and yes, here come my minions one more time, getting in there, and again, it's the minions performing heroic bravery and several hundred more hit points off that tower. So at this point, it is so badly damaged that we really just want to focus focus on defense, make sure we get that giant, prevent the balloon from getting to the tower. The minions, again, doing a great job, and they get the job done before the freeze, before the arrows come in. There they come, but the damage was done. My arrows win it right there. I hate to do it, but if I can take your tower down with arrows, I will go for it every single time. So we've beaten a 9, we've beaten a 10, we've beaten an 11, and of course, what comes next but a level 12, that player there from that clan there. And this player has a different deck composition than we've seen in any of the previous replays. We haven't seen it come up yet, but he's got the Goblin Barrel. It is pretty underused up at higher levels. He's got the Tesla as defense and a pretty well-balanced deck as far as crowd control and a lot of small units, which can be problematic for any type of golem deck because they can just swelm. All right, I just made up a word there. Swelm. That means to swarm and overwhelm simultaneously. And that's usually what smaller units can do to golems. Now, he's got that Tesla right up on the water, so that had me very suspicious. He drops his arrows, and I get my golem in. The Valkyrie goes down, the goblins working on goblins in the back, and the golem, even without a lot of support, can do damage, but eventually the goblins, come on, find your way around that big golem. There he goes. He gets into the tower, and that is major damage. And right here, it's really a surprise. To take this tower down against a level 12 player only a minute into the battle was very unexpected, so I'm going to shift and try to focus on defense. At least that's what I initially thought. Now, the Goblin Barrel comes across immediately, countered by the arrows, and that right there had to really take the steam out of this guy's engine, hoping that he could have the comeback, because now his only really surprise card was the Goblin Barrel, and I've got arrows on the ready. I also have minions that are great for hovering over those towers and counteracting the Goblin Barrel. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the golem on the left-hand side this time, just figuring that we can work on another tower just in case it becomes a 2-1 thing. Minion on minion action on the right-hand side, and with the support of my own tower and the waste of his arrows, that helped out. And the golem, look at that golem going deep once again, and because of the Tesla placement, the golem has gone straight to the tower. The Tesla has expired, and any of his other supporting units are not available. Once again, I've got minions over there hovering over the golem. They will help take down the Valkyrie. And there goes the other tower. Just because of the golems, they are going to take that tower down, the Golemites I should say, and a 2-0 lead against a level 12 player. Here comes another Goblin Barrel. This time he's got a freeze spell. Luckily for me, I've got all sorts of little units. They do get in there before the tower goes down. And this battle is all but over. Less than 30 seconds remain. I'm up 2-0. And once again, the I Can't Lose deck has come out on top. Now, obviously, the meta changes. The cards change based upon the arena that you're playing in. And while this deck is doing really well today, it may be on a huge losing streak tomorrow. And that's why I always suggest, as we 3-crown the level 12 player, I always suggest being versatile. Don't become too reliant on any one card or any one deck. Thank you guys, as always, for sticking around all the way to the end of this episode. Please do hit that subscribe, thumbs up button before you guys leave, and I hope to see every last one of you back here again tomorrow for more full attacks. Galidon, get off your high horse. Speaking of horses, I didn't see you beat any princes there. That's right.